Oh, goodness. Let me know if you pop in. Give it a couple minutes. Just getting ready to put together another raised bed this morning on this kind of crappy central New York, well, upstate southern tier New York day. Hey Teresa, how are you? Just trying to get this monster unpacked. This is a 10-foot by 3-foot raised bed I'm putting together right now. Glad to see you're doing well. Hey Coffee, how are you? Oh, Sansa, I'm busy. Sansa wants her lovin's. But I wanted to pop in and offer a little bit of reassurance. Sansa, no, come on, stop. Go get the chickens. Anyway, yes, big puppy. But you know, everything going on right now is all part of their plan. You know, there are no good guys in this. Well, I mean, the only good guys are, you know, people like us, right? People who aren't participating in this crap and don't have a dog in the fight. Hey, Orlando Prepper, how are you? Hi, Cha-Cha. So, you know, we as the innocent parties here need to stick together and do what we can do to, you know, kind of mitigate our losses. And her tail is right on the phone, so if it goes wonky, you know what happened. As long as she doesn't pee on it, I guess we're good. But you know, as far as governments are concerned, there's no good guys, there's no bad guys. I mean, yes, some are more evil than others, but any country that would get their innocent military involved, their innocent people with this economic turmoil that's happening with these supply chain issues, none of them are good. But we know that we are, and we need to do what we can to help each other to get through this stuff. So today on my Facebook, I posted a couple of tips, you know, to be ready for any kind of emergency situation. Hey, OVP, how are you? That comes up, and a lot of it's just basic stuff that most people do, but sometimes we lose sight of and we forget about it. And one of the main things, and I struggle with this a lot, you know, having you know, a bunch of kids at home and a drywaller husband, is that keep up on your dishes and laundry. You know, you know, OVP, I saw a headline that some political person was unalived or something like that. Can you fill us in the chat a little bit? But to add some humor, if anybody saw my community post here on YouTube, and I know Cha-Cha did, because she was like, hey, what? Hi, Mackenzie, how are you? Welcome in. One of the other prepping channels, and it's one that I actually had unsubscribed to because it was just a bunch of, hey, Shadow Scout Swede, good to see you. It was one that I had unsubscribed to because it was just a bunch of fear-mongering and pity me and send me money and things like that. I was scrolling through lives today, and, you know, that person came up, and it actually got up and moved for a second to turn on some sort of broadcast. And I swear, and I do have a screenshot of it, but I'm not going to share it. I swear in his pile of crap, there was a big pink dildo. I am not kidding. I can't think of anything else that could have been. I had to go back and screenshot and zoom in, and it's like, is that really what I saw? And it is. So just a word to other creators, if you're making a video and you have, you know, intimate things around that should stay private, please put them securely away. Don't plan on them staying behind you. Oh goodness. Yeah, Teresa, you probably do know who I'm talking about. So I did not need that this morning, and these are the supports. At least I got a good chuckle out of it, but the more I think about it, the more grossed out I am. So Coffee, email me because I know your email address is buried from way back when, but if you email me, I'll send you the screenshot and who it was. Um, it was, I'm telling you, it takes all kinds, but man, I didn't need that kind today. But anyway, um, just do the things, keep up on things, don't fall behind, and make sure, oh wow, OVP, that is freaking crazy. And we've been warning about this, haven't we? They found all of that first responder gear with a bunch of explosives down, I think it was either Houston or Dallas, somewhere down in Texas. The roaming prepper had reported on it a couple months ago. That this is part of the plan, and I wouldn't be surprised, if that is some sort of sleeper cell activation. Um, because that is one of their plans, is to pose as first responders and cause even more chaos after the initial blast or initial attack of whatever, that they're able to get places that normal people won't, and it cause even more havoc. um it's really pathetic, the levels that they're going to. Now this is something I have not seen before when I'm putting together these raised beds. So I'm not going to be able to live stream and do this at the same time, just because I can't walk and chew gum at the same time. But, this is what I'm up to. I did start weed eating up around the bag garden this morning and around my rhubarb patch. And, oh no, coffee, that's horrible. Do we know what political affiliation this politician was? I mean, it's horrible either way, but I mean, it kind of gives you an idea of who the perpetrators might be if we know what the victim was. Um, but either way, I mean, nobody should be in fear for their lives about that shit. Nobody should be in fear for their lives, period. But that's just the world that we live in, and it's disgusting, it's sick, it's sad. Okay, so OVP, here's the question: were they I hate to say that, could this have been like a false flag to, hey, Mike, how are you? Good to see you. See you, CV. Thanks for coming. So is this something to try to, make one side look like the bad guys, or is this something that was a legitimate whack job, going after them because of their politics? I mean, we will never know, because we're being lied to from every angle, every story. Um, none of this none of the whole truth is ever going to come out, at least not to us. The only people who are ever going to know the truth are the people who are pulling the strings. So, and I mean, we know that. I'm preaching to the choir here, I know, but, um, oh goodness. So I'm trying to decide what I'm going to plant in this bed. And I think I'm gonna, yeah, I did see something about the National Guard being brought into Minnesota. I just saw a headline flash up, but I didn't know why. But now you guys have filled me in, and exactly, Mike, propaganda. And that's what all of this is. Um, you know, hunker down, stay with your tribe, make your home your Eden. Make sure you can provide, obviously we have different climates and we have different situations. Nobody is going to be able to provide everything that they need. Um, you know, I mean, I can't grow wheat here. Um, I can grind my own flour, but I can't grow my own wheat here. I shouldn't say can't. I could in small quantities, but um, I can grow a ton of stuff that maybe I could trade to a farmer for some soy, or we do have a cornfield right next door, but it is feed corn and it is GMO. But in a pinch, I mean, think about it. We could grind that into cornmeal, and if you grind it fine enough, you can kind of make breads and stuff with it. Not just cornbread, but a closer version. Mike, I could not agree more. What did I miss from Orlando Prepper? That's a wow. Yeah, I mean, Orlando, that's a really good point. And did the person who did this, were they smart enough to make that their point, or was somebody pulling their strings, or were they one of these psych patients that's being brainwashed? Because we do know that that happens. I mean, that's all been declassified. They've admitted they do this shit, and nobody cares. Everybody's got their heads so far in their phone and so far into the TV and so far into their gaming systems that nobody pays attention to this stuff. They could flat out tell us, hey, we're doing this to reset everybody into slavery. who besides us is gonna stop them? Who besides us is gonna say, hey, wait a minute, that's not a good idea? People don't pay attention and they just don't freaking care. So I'm telling you guys, you need to care. And you need to get prepped up while we still can. Um, at the beginning of every month, I will admit, I am broke as a joke for most of the month because in our family, I'm responsible for the groceries and most of the prepping. Mr. STP handles most of the big bills, and there's a couple little bills I handle, and I'm the food lady. So when my disability comes in, I go and I place a huge order every month because God forbid the banking system goes down. God forbid, you know, debit cards don't work. The supply chain is gone. Grocery stores shut down. Everybody's out. We we at least have that extra ahead of time. And I'm still trying to catch up from all of the canned goods that we had to, send to the dump trailer. And I mean, I'm still sick over that. I mean, just thinking of it, I mean, as if I didn't have enough PTSD watching all those years of preps and hard work, because there was a lot of home canned stuff in there too. That's just, oh my gosh, this is heavy. Um, it's just ridiculous. So I still dealing with that, still perusing marketplace for wow, OVP. Is that in your area? That's kind of scary. And it's kind of scary that there's that many people that, are so rabid. I got accused on my Facebook of being somebody who would have sided with the redcoats. And although I don't see that, I mean, I get what their point is, that this is their form of rebellion. But the same of, amen, Mike. Amen. But with the same token, that was when we were, before we had the protections of the Constitution. And unfortunately, right now, the Constitution is being perverted by activist judges who are overstepping their bounds. And even though I don't agree with a lot of the decisions that are being made at the executive level, I really don't. Like, I agree with some things. I agree with Maha. I agree with, bringing manufacturing back to the U.S. I agree with a lot of things. But the things that I don't agree with, I also don't agree with this activist judge premise trying to undo everything that he's done, because where were these judges when all these unconstitutional acts were being done by the previous administration and two administrations before that? They were nowhere to be found. So this is we're in a constitutional crisis. We're in an international crisis. We're in an economic crisis. We're in a security crisis. And we are in, more than anything, a morality crisis. Amen, Mike. I mean, you're spitting truth today. Well, you do every day, but I mean, your one-liners are so relevant. It's just, people need to get back to, and I don't want to just say God, because you can have morality without God, but can you have God without morality? I don't think so. And this is, I think a lot of this is rooted in the Rockefeller public school system. They were training people to be factory workers and serfs. And this was a way for them to break down the family, because parents weren't with their children 24/7. They weren't educating them in morality. They weren't educating them in the way that decisions affect them personally. And we've just been spoon-fed everything that the government wants us to act like and to believe. They're dumbing down everybody like crazy. And I see this so easily. Bye, Cha-Cha. Have a good day. Stay safe. When I see my kids, and they've only been homeschooled for the last 4 years, we did our job to instill a good moral compass in them from a young age, but they only started being homeschooled 4 years ago during all of the pandemic bullshit. And seeing the difference in their levels of intelligence and their knowledge of right and wrong and their ability to know how the world really works and what they need to do, you know, as opposed to their public school counterparts. I'm sorry to say, I'm really happy that they're not really friends with that many public school kids anymore. They've got a good group of homeschooled friends, and the teenager has a homeschooled boyfriend. And yep, Mike, planning on being there. Shut up. These damn roosters. Anybody want a rooster locally or semi-locally? I'll meet you halfway. I've got 3 that I could get rid of. Just please take one. I hate to get rid of any to the stew pot just because these ones aren't aggressive towards humans and they are good protectors of the flock. But damn, anytime you try to talk, they're right up your ass. So yeah, looking forward to seeing you on the 0 Hour podcast tomorrow night. OVP, whose channel is it on tomorrow night? Is it on yours or is it on Rips? Because I know you guys already did one on rurals. So make sure that you guys are, even if you have to have your kids in government schools, first of all, make sure that you're ready to homeschool them if need be. Get some books, get some materials, because the next pandemic that comes, or if there's any sort of major attack on the infrastructure or the possibility of incoming attacks, schools are going to be the first things to shut down. They're still going to want your property taxes, but they're going to be shut down. Some may be reactivated as shelters, who knows? I know up until about 10 years ago, there was still a fallout shelter sign on our local middle school. And I noticed, like, at one point, I was like, hey, wait a minute, where did that placard go? That's gone. But honestly, that would probably be the best use for these damn buildings, because the level of indoctrination and the level of dumbing down that's happened, this No Child Left Behind is bullshit. They just let anybody through now. But yeah, get this. So my homeschool daughter wants to go to college, and she wants to become a naturopath. So it's not like she just wants to go, be some liberal arts major or gender studies or anything like that. She wants to become a naturopath, which I back 100%. But in order to get any kind of financial aid or grants or scholarships, she has to have her GED. So to get her GED, I called the local BOCES, which is kind of like a VOTEC. It's just New York calls it BOCES, because they have a GED testing site and program and things like that. They said, you need to call your local school district's guidance office. And so I did that. The high school guidance office, when they called me back 2 days later, said that for them to get her into a GED test, she had to enroll back in the district, which meant getting all those extra shots and stuff that we've been avoiding and have been so much healthier because we avoid them. All of our kids are MTHFR positive, which is a gene mutation, which makes vaccines a lot more dangerous than they are to people without the mutation. And we would have to re-enroll her, enroll her in their GED prep program, which she's already prepping privately on her own for the GED. She's taking practice tests, she's acing them. And then she would have to go through their GED prep program, and then they would schedule her testing. That's bullshit. So now I have to go through and I have to find a different location, a different alternate route, some way for this poor girl who is brilliant to get her GED, and just so that she can further her education. I mean, the system is so biased towards homeschoolers. Now, she doesn't need her GED, though, to go to community college and start getting her basic credits. She can just go, and after, I think it's 2 semesters of satisfactory grades, they will just give her a GED. But for those first 2 semesters, she will be ineligible for any financial aid and has to pay up front. Now, this girl has been working since she was 14. She has been saving every possible penny, like to the point where it's like, girl, you need to live a little, have some fun with your money. She's bought 2 cars, and she's worked at some points 2 and 3 jobs, and now she's starting a job as a dental assistant at 17 years old on Monday. But yet they want her to, go through their bullshit and, pay their little government fees and get their little government pokes. And and get dumbed down like everybody else so that she can have a piece of paper so that she can be entitled to the rest of the government handouts that everybody else and their dog get. And it's bullshit. Okay, coffee, after this is done, I'll email you the screenshot. You can tell me what you think. I sent it to Mike, and he agrees with me. I was like, Mike, please tell me I'm wrong. He's like, okay, you're wrong. Then, but you're not. So, yeah, I if you can think of anything else that could be, please let me know, because I would like to believe it's something else. But anyway, it's just this whole thing with my daughter is just another example of how biased this system is set up to make people fail. You know, here we have an overachiever who wants to do something with her life, but that thing in her life also is not something that fits their little mold, you know. Yes, there's more of a demand for naturopaths and stuff now, but insurance still doesn't cover them. Anybody who wants to go to a naturopath, at least in this state, has to pay, you know, right out of their pocket. And she's aware of that, and she's aware that things might be slow starting, but even in our area, there's like 1 or 2 naturopaths, and they are booked months out. People are waking up to the fact that big pharma and big government are working hand in hand to keep us sick, to keep us enslaved, and it's just another piece of their puzzle. You know, they've got our education, they've got our health, they've got our food, they've got our safety. Hell, they've got our property if you don't pay your taxes. So it's just like, where don't they have us? And the only place that they don't have us is if you refuse to participate in their system. The more food you grow yourself, the more you barter with others instead of having to go to their, you know, corporate stores that get their government kickbacks and, you know, that they give the government your data in return. They know everything that you buy. You know, just stop participating. Do whatever you can. I mean, we have to participate at some level, obviously. You know, if you don't have your car registered or insured, they're gonna, you know, take it and fine the hell out of you and put you in jail. If you don't, you know, pay your property taxes, they're gonna compete that. But minimize it. You know, do whatever you can for yourself. Minimize the shit out of how much you have to interact with these assholes. You know, minimize the tax revenue that they get. You know, sales taxes suck. Buy off marketplace, you know, barter, cash transactions with each other. Do what you can. Black market the shit out of things anymore. You know, I don't even care. Like, let somebody strike me for the monetization that isn't here, right? I'm 82 subscribers away now from the 1,000. I have broken 1,000 3 different times, and each time they've knocked me down back. So I figure if I can do it a little bit at a time, maybe they'll let me keep it. But yeah, exactly, CUCB. And to a point, we all have to play the part of sheep. But when you do have to interact with them, use it to your advantage somehow. You know, get extra stuff that you can either use for barter or trade or black market stuff, you know, because it's coming. We're not going to be able to depend on any of this stuff pretty soon. Thanks, OVP. I appreciate it. Hey, King Corso, how are you? So, yeah, I mean, that's about all I got. I got to get going on this raised bed, or else I'm not going to get it in today. It seems like the rain might be over, but it's a really gloomy, crappy day, but it is nice and cool, so that's good weather for me to work without my blood pressure dropping. So, stay safe, everybody. Avoid those areas if you can. Break the system by not participating in it. Depend only on each other and on yourselves. And don't forget to do your research and prep on.